Hi everyone. So I wanted to come on and do another episode of A Precious Paradox. This topic that I wanted to talk about was regarding how our emotions don't always match our knowing, and talk about how difficult that can be, and also talk about some potential steps that you can take that can help to work you in the direction of aligning those emotions and those knowings so that you can move past whatever's tripping you up. So when I say our emotions don't match our knowing, some may have an understanding of what that may be and others may not. So I'm going to give an example of let's say that you have this project that you're needing to do, and you requested to have a friend help you. And this friend is really trustworthy and reliable and is totally down to help you, no questions. Nothing has been scheduled in confliction, so they have full awareness that they're going to help you with this thing, and everything seems fine. So it comes down to, okay, it's time. We're doing this thing and you're going to help me out and everything's going to be great. Just to come to find out that your friend had an emergency come up, something really serious that they cannot ignore. They have to cancel helping you out with whatever it is that they're supposed to be helping you out with. And it's like, I gotta go, I gotta do this, and I'll call you later, kind of thing. So logically is, oh, they had an emergency. They were fully intending to help me and something came up that they couldn't ignore, they couldn't avoid, they had to go take care of. Totally get it. However, there are times when some people may feel that, wow, this person let me down. This person really let me down. And you feel this emotion like, they were supposed to be helping me. And then going into the emotion and recognizing that, wow, I am like, you start telling yourself you're being over dramatic, you're not being fair, you're being ridiculous. Like, how selfish are you to, get upset because this person had an emergency come up that they didn't have any control over, that they suddenly couldn't help you. Here's the paradox. This is where our emotion doesn't match our knowing. And how often do we beat ourselves up because we recognize that we feel a certain way, but we know logically we shouldn't. That's tough. That's really tough. So, and that particular example too, some people may think, well, why would anybody get upset about that? That seems like a really selfish thing to get upset about. That seems really over dramatic, or, fill in the blank. But the thing is, we can have emotional trauma that is triggered without us really understanding why it's triggered. And a lot of the time, this is going to come from childhood. It's going to come from how we were learning to interact with people around us. Generally, how we interacted with older people than us. So older siblings, other, adults, whatever the case may be. So what exactly are the steps that we can take to start unlearning and start to just become aware of why this is happening? So first, it's going to be, it's pretty obvious that I have emotion, or it can be obvious that I have emotions. I have really heavy emotions, really strong emotions that are not matching my knowing, not matching how that I know would be a reasonable response. So then it's going to be holding space. It's because my physiology, my higher self, there's something that is telling me, hey, something's not right here. Something needs to be brought out into the open. And this is how your body tries to do that. So then it's that question of, this is a really crappy feeling. Where within my memory can I recall feeling this way? And what is the earliest memory that I could recall feeling it? And how often did it happen beyond that? And some may be able to pinpoint it. Some people may not. It may be a series of situations where growing up, when you felt like you did ask for help at times, or you inquired about needing support in something, but every time that you did, the older sibling or cousin or the adult that you requested that help from and that support from sort of brushed you off, or like, well, no, I can't do that right now, and we'll get to it later, kind of thing. And when you hear that enough as a child, because as children, our brains are nowhere near fully developed, and we take things literally. Our brains take things literally, so we retain all of that as literal information. And it's hard to not draw these conclusions that, oh, well, I'm second choice. There's always something more important than me to other people. So anybody I definitely feel that there is some stuff coming through. Anybody who is hearing this and are feeling things starting to well up, you feel like things are getting let down, everything that within you that is aligning with what it is that I'm saying, that's resonating with what it is that I'm saying, let's uncreate and destroy and release and transmute all of the heaviness that this is bringing up. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, poc, on intros, boys, poets, and beyonds. Deep breath. Because within this is something that this is something that we picked up because we were learning. And beyond the acknowledging, saying, okay, I have a misalignment within my emotions and my knowing, where could this have potentially have started? Trying to identify some points in your memory that this has specifically happened to you. And then looking at it from the perspective of, well, these adults, when I was a child, it wasn't that they didn't want to help. They did have intention to help, or even if they were placating me because I was a child and they had other stuff going on that I was not aware of, that they had other things going on. This was not a personal thing that was directed at me. That other people not being able to show up for me does not mean I am not worthy of love. It doesn't mean that I'm not loved by these people. It does not mean that I am everybody's second choice. It does not mean that I am not important to anybody. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, back on nine, trust, boys, poets, and beyonds. We're going to control, alt, delete all of that because none of that is true. Being able to look back at the people who did these acts or inflicted this sort of emotion or trauma onto us, being able to offer understanding and compassion and forgiveness, that, if you heard that sort of thing from your mom or your dad a lot, how much did they have going on in their lives that they obviously didn't talk about because you were little, and they were doing the best they could, and just in that moment they couldn't be there for you, that they had to make a choice. But that little, but whatever it was that you were asking for their attention or the support of at the time may not have been something that they felt would impact you in such a big way. They didn't do it on purpose. They didn't do it because you weren't important to them. They didn't do it because they didn't love you. It was circumstance. It just sort of how things happened, and being able to look at it from the other person's perspective and say, I totally get that, especially if you have kids now and you're like, there are just sometimes I am just mentally spent and they're kids and they don't get it, and I just kind of have to play it out. I just kind of have to play it down. I gotta do what I can to make them happy so that I can take the time that I need. There's not anything wrong with that at all. But when it comes down to it affecting us in an emotional manner, we are responsible for that. We have to be responsible for that because nobody else is going to take responsibility for that. We can try to be aware of how we may be inflicting that on others, but there's only so much of that we can do. We can't take that major responsibility on ourselves. The best we can do is our best to not do that. But when it comes to our own, we have to take care of that. We have to hold ourselves accountable. We are responsible for our own healing. Nobody else is able to do that because only we know for ourselves what it is that we need to heal, how deeply it needs to be healed, and only we will know when it truly is healed, that it's not influencing us anymore, that we're not feeling controlled by it. So hold space for yourself, hold space for others, be willing to explore where these misaligned emotions versus our knowings are coming from. Being willing to offer understanding and forgiveness to the people who may have inflicted it on us, and look to not place judgment on them. And from there, by working through that process, we create space for us to have the opportunity for our emotions to become realigned with our knowing, because the emotion is, oh, we're just not going to talk about it. The triggered emotion is, this is something that is hurting, but we're not talking about it, so I'm just going to be upset. Whereas going through the process of, why do I feel this way? And another key, not making ourselves wrong for feeling upset in the first place. Your emotions are absolutely important. Your emotions are a way that your brain is communicating with you logically, that your heart is communicating with you, with your brain logically. So these are all things that these are all physiological responses that your body is coordinating to communicate with us so that we can be better, so that we can be in alignment, so that we can be in flow, so that we can be at peace, so our nervous systems can be at ease. These are all signals that there is an ease in that system. So we are responsible for creating the space for us to be able to appreciate and invite in the ease. And we do that by unlearning unhealthy habits, understanding our triggers, and being willing to explore those darker or those really uncomfortable and upsetting memories that impacted us in a big way. It's cellular memory is huge. That we if you've seen the movie the Disney movie Inside Out, it really is a fantastic representation of how our brains work as far as retaining memories and retaining experiences that impact how we react within our lives. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you watch it. It's a wonderful, wonderful kids movie. It's a great way to explain, to sort of personify the process that our brain goes through in trying to work through things. The cellular memories, or core memories, is what they call them in the movie. Core memories are things that are retained, that there may or may not be any rhyme or reason. It's just something that is being retained within the cells of our being, and it impacts us in big ways. So cellular memory of the circumstance that I use as an example, that you asked your parent for help building a fort, something that you felt was fun, and you wanted to share it with this person that was a big part of your life, and for reasons that you were not fully aware or understanding of, they turned you down. They had to decline. And a core memory may have been retained at that point, that, oh, well, this person doesn't want to spend time with me. And especially if the parent just sort of sat in front of the TV because they were trying to decompress. They were stressed from their day, or they had a lot going on in their lives that they're just trying to make it day to day, and they don't mentally or emotionally have the energy to be present with them, to be present with you as a child. That's a tough situation, because you're retaining that and you're internalizing it, that there's something wrong with you, when that's not the case. Because then when you grow up and you're looking back and you're saying, wow, this is a really heavy thing that comes up, and being able to say, I remember my mom not playing with me because she would just sit after work, and she just seemed like she was so unhappy all the time, and I didn't understand it. Being an adult, you are able to understand more about what it is that she may have been dealing with at the time that you were not aware of, and that you can show compassion and understanding and holding space for her at that time. And wow, this hurt me because I didn't fully have the picture. But now I feel a lot of compassion and understanding for her, because she was going through a lot of stuff. And it's okay that she wasn't able to help me build my fort, because I get it. And I love her, and I thank her for all of those things that she's done. So being able to get to that point of being able to have forgiveness and understanding and compassion for the person or persons who may have caused those core memories, those traumatic emotional core memories to form, that's where healing starts. That's where the healing can start. That is where we create the space for us to be able to grow from it. So then being able to understand that this is a trigger doesn't mean that the trigger is just going to go away. Sometimes it might. Other times it may take a little bit of time. But it's within the moments of being triggered that you can then be aware, oh, this is because of, this is something that I've needed to process through because of this thing, because of this situation that happened when I was a kid. And I understand that this trigger is not as big of a deal because I've worked through it. And over time, every time you face that trigger and you can identify it as what you've worked through it as being, it becomes less and less powerful, and eventually it does not overcome you anymore. It doesn't stop you in your tracks. Eventually, it gets to a point where, oh yeah, you're cool. I totally understand. Not an issue. You know, if I absolutely have to wait for you, then we'll reschedule. I'll check in with you to make sure everything's okay. Yeah, it feels pretty. I'm sort of listening to Spirit and see if there's something else they wanted to add, but it feels pretty full circle. So yeah, our precious paradox for our misaligned emotions and knowings, when our emotions don't match our knowing, and how completely fine it is to experience it, and that there is a way to work through it. And the key steps that I offered is strictly from my own experience and what I felt has worked for me in my processing through stuff that I needed to understand that. And you can follow it and see how it works for you and adjust as needed, because only you know what you need. Because your healing is completely in your hands. You hold all of the power, all of the capabilities of being able to heal from the things that you carry on your heart and on your shoulders through your life. Others can be supportive of you, but you have to take the lead. You have to take the lead. And you are more than capable of doing this. So happy healing. If you would like to suggest a precious paradox, we could definitely talk about whatever circumstance you feel is something that you have personally dealt with and you want to sort of, see what other people may have to say, or just get my take on it. There was a lot of there was a lot of energy that was released in this stuff. So, let's do another clearing. In all the ways that we have made ourselves wrong for our emotions being misaligned with our knowing, let's uncreate and destroy all of the limiting beliefs and all of the wrongness that we have told ourselves, and anything that doesn't allow us to do so: right, wrong, good, bad, pop, poc, all nine shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. In all the ways that we have retained personal triggers from circumstances. There's a better way to word that. In all the ways that we have tied up our worth in circumstances that others have afflicted on us throughout our lives, let's uncreate and destroy the harsh judgment. Anything that doesn't allow us to do that: right, wrong, good, bad, pop, poc, all nine shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. And let us align with being able to offer unconditional love, understanding, and forgiveness to those who may have been the ones to inflict these sorts of core memories on us, and anything that doesn't allow us to offer that love, and understanding and forgiveness, right, wrong, good, bad, pop, poc, on insurance, boys, poveds, and beyonds. In all the ways that we took these situations personally and assumed our worth to in the view of others. Let's uncreate and destroy all of the lies that we have told ourselves and anything that doesn't allow us to do that. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, poc, on nine shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. I do want to add to this video that going through the process of working through it to understand where the misalignment is happening between our emotions and our knowing. Ask the question, pose the question out loud to the universe, what clarity can I perceive here? And by offering that statement, offering that question to the universe, you're creating space for the universe to show you what sort of information you need to know in order to understand the bigger picture. I love posing this question to the universe because it's rather instantaneously. It's within a very short period of time of posing the question and continuing to try to work out what exactly is going on in that situation that, bing, it just, the clarity comes in and it's like, oh, that makes so much more sense. And then as soon as you feel like you've made this connection, you can feel the dis-ease in your body start to subside, and you can feel the sense of calm and the sense of peace come over you. And that relief that comes from that is just, oh, okay. And then especially if it's something that you feel you have continuously revisited over any period of time in your life, to feel like, oh, I understand this now. This doesn't have to be this big heavy thing for me anymore. And then acknowledge within yourself that, man, I'm the one who worked through that. I'm the one who was able to process through this and be able to come out on the other side feeling like I laid it to rest. I laid this dis-ease within myself to rest. And I deserve that. I'm proud of myself for that. And I'm pretty freaking awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed. Leave comments. Pose any questions that you like. And I will see you in the next one.